There are moments when it feels as if something inside you is fighting a battle that nobody else can see. You wake up carrying a weight that is difficult to explain. You move through your responsibilities, fulfill your obligations, smile when necessary, and continue showing up for people. Yet beneath the surface there is a struggle that seems to follow you wherever you go. It is not always a struggle against circumstances. Sometimes it is a struggle within yourself, a struggle between who you have been and who you are becoming, a struggle between fear and faith, a struggle between exhaustion and perseverance, a struggle between the desire to give up and the quiet determination that refuses to let you stop. If you have been feeling that tension lately, if you have felt stretched beyond what seems comfortable, if you have felt pressure building inside your spirit, it may be because something important is taking place. What feels like a power struggle may actually be a season of growth. What feels like resistance may actually be preparation. What feels like pressure may be the very thing God is using to build a strength within you that could not have been developed any other way. Many people assume strength appears all at once. They imagine strong people simply wake up one day with confidence, resilience, wisdom, and courage. The truth is very different. Strength is usually born in places nobody celebrates. It grows in seasons of uncertainty. It grows during long nights when answers do not come quickly. It grows during disappointments that force a person to keep moving even when their heart feels tired. It grows during moments when a person chooses faith without having all the evidence they wish they had. You carried burdens that few people ever noticed. There were days when you felt like nobody understood how much effort it took just to keep going. There were moments when you questioned whether all your sacrifices mattered. There were seasons when your kindness was overlooked, your loyalty was taken for granted, and your intentions were misunderstood. Yet somehow, you kept moving forward. Somehow, you found enough strength for one more day. Then one more day after that, then another. The fact that you are still standing says more about your strength than you realize. Many of the greatest battles you have fought were invisible. Nobody applauded them, nobody recognized them, nobody fully understood them. Yet they shaped you, they taught you patience, they taught you endurance, they taught you compassion. They taught you how to survive moments that once felt impossible. Sometimes God develops strength quietly. Sometimes He allows a season to continue longer than you expected, because the growth happening within you is more important than the comfort you wish would arrive immediately. This can be difficult to understand when you are living through it. When pain lasts longer than expected, it is easy to wonder whether you have been forgotten. When doors remain closed, it is easy to wonder whether your efforts matter. When loneliness settles in, it is easy to wonder whether anyone sees what you are carrying. Yet God often does His deepest work in hidden places. Seeds grow beneath the ground long before anyone sees evidence on the surface. Foundations are built before buildings rise into view. Character is developed before influence expands. Strength is formed before greater responsibilities arrive. The seasons that tested you were also shaping who you were becoming. Looking back, you may realize that some of your greatest victories happened in silence when nobody was watching. There were moments when choosing kindness required tremendous strength. There were moments when remaining faithful required tremendous courage. There were moments when continuing to hope felt like the hardest thing you could possibly do, yet you did it. Even when your heart was heavy, even when your confidence felt shaken, even when the future seemed uncertain, you kept taking steps forward. That matters more than you know. The world often celebrates visible success while overlooking invisible resilience. Yet God sees both. God saw the tears that nobody else noticed. God saw the prayers you whispered when nobody was around. God saw the disappointments you carried without complaining. God saw the courage it took to keep believing when circumstances offered very little encouragement. Nothing was wasted. Not every battle you fought was in vain. Not every delay was meaningless. Not every setback was a sign of failure. Some experiences were teaching lessons that could not be learned from comfort alone. Some seasons were preparing you for responsibilities that require greater wisdom. Some struggles were strengthening muscles within your spirit that had never been fully developed before. One of the hardest truths to accept is that growth often feels uncomfortable while it is happening. Growth stretches you. Growth challenges old beliefs. Growth forces you to release habits, fears, and limitations that no longer belong in your future. Growth asks you to trust before you fully understand. This is why many people mistake growth for defeat. They see the discomfort and assume something is wrong. They feel the pressure and assume they are failing. They experience resistance and assume they are moving in the wrong direction. Yet many times the opposite is true. The pressure exists because something stronger is being formed within you. The resistance exists because you are moving beyond old limitations. The struggle exists because a new level of strength is emerging. Your story has value, even if it did not unfold the way you expected. Some chapters brought pain you never anticipated. Some chapters brought losses that left scars. Some chapters brought confusion that tested your faith. Yet those chapters are not the whole story. They are part of the story, but they are not the conclusion. Too many people judge their future based on a difficult season. They assume today's struggle will define tomorrow's possibilities. They assume present pain determines future purpose. Yet history is filled with examples of people whose hardest seasons became the foundation for their greatest growth. The moments that seemed to weaken them ultimately strengthened them. The experiences that appeared to hold them back ultimately prepared them for what came next. You are worth far more than the moments that tried to make you feel small. You are worth far more than the rejection you experienced. You are worth far more than the disappointments you endured. The opinions of others never had the authority to determine your value. The lack of recognition from others never diminished your worth. Your value existed before anyone acknowledged it. Your purpose existed before anyone understood it. Your strength existed before anyone noticed it. There is something powerful about reaching a point where you stop measuring your worth by the responses of other people. It does not happen overnight. It is usually the result of many lessons learned through experience. You begin to realize that not everyone will understand your journey. Not everyone will appreciate your heart. Not everyone will recognize your efforts. Yet your purpose does not depend on universal approval. Your destiny does not require everyone's understanding. Your value does not increase when people praise you, nor does it decrease when they overlook you. That realization creates a different kind of strength. It creates stability. It creates peace. It creates freedom. There is a strength within you that kept moving forward even on your darkest days. It was there when you thought you had reached your limit. It was there when you felt emotionally exhausted. It was there when you questioned whether things would ever improve. That strength was not an accident. It was being developed through every challenge you faced. Every obstacle taught something. Every disappointment revealed something. Every difficult season contributed something. The person you are becoming is stronger, wiser, more compassionate, and more resilient because of what you survived. One day, you may look back and realize that the very struggle you wanted removed was helping prepare you for a future you could not yet see. One day you may understand why certain lessons took time. One day you may recognize how much growth occurred during seasons that felt unproductive. Until then, continue remembering that difficult times do not define your destiny. Temporary struggles do not determine your future. Delays do not erase purpose. Setbacks do not cancel calling. God has not forgotten you. The strength being developed within you matters. The perseverance you have shown matters. The faith you have carried matters. The kindness you continue to offer despite your own struggles matters. Your endurance matters. Your story matters. Your life matters. If this message encouraged you and reminded you that your struggles are shaping strength rather than diminishing your worth, subscribe to the channel and continue walking alongside a community focused on faith, healing, purpose, and personal growth. Sometimes the encouragement we need arrives through shared journeys, and there is hope, strength, and belonging waiting in the messages ahead. The most exhausting battles are often the ones that happen entirely inside your own heart. They leave no visible bruises. They create no obvious evidence for the outside world to see, yet they can drain more energy than any physical challenge ever could. You may have experienced seasons when you looked completely fine to everyone around you, while carrying a storm within that few people could have understood. You fulfilled your responsibilities. You showed up for work. You answered messages. You attended family gatherings. You smiled when appropriate. Yet beneath the surface, there was a constant tension, a tension between what you hoped for and what reality looked like. A tension between the life you imagined and the season you found yourself living. A tension between trusting God and wondering why certain answers seemed delayed. When those seasons last longer than expected, it becomes easy to believe something is wrong with you. It becomes easy to assume that your struggle means you are failing. It becomes easy to interpret your weariness as weakness. Yet many times, what feels like weakness is actually evidence that growth is taking place. Muscles grow through resistance. Character grows through challenge. Faith grows through uncertainty. Strength grows through pressure. The power struggle you feel may not be a sign that you are losing. It may be evidence that God is developing capacities within you that could not exist without the process you are experiencing right now. One of the greatest misunderstandings people have about strong individuals is the belief that strength means never feeling overwhelmed. Real strength has never meant the absence of struggle. Real strength means continuing despite struggle. It means choosing hope when disappointment would be easier. It means choosing faith when certainty is unavailable. It means choosing kindness after experiencing hurt. It means choosing perseverance when quitting appears tempting. Some of the strongest people on earth have spent long periods questioning themselves, wrestling with fear, battling discouragement, and navigating uncertainty. Their strength was not the absence of those experiences. Their strength was the decision to keep moving forward through them. Your kindness cost you more than most people will ever understand. There were moments when extending grace felt difficult. There were moments when choosing patience required tremendous effort. There were moments when continuing to care felt risky because previous experiences had left wounds. Yet you continued to offer goodness where you could. You continued to show compassion where you could. You continued to believe that becoming bitter was not the answer. That choice required strength, more strength than many people realize. Sometimes people assume strength looks loud. They assume it appears through dominance, control, or visible confidence. Yet some of the greatest strength in the world appears quietly. It appears in the parent who keeps sacrificing for their family despite exhaustion. It appears in the person who keeps showing up despite grief. It appears in the individual who continues believing despite setbacks. It appears in the heart that remains soft despite disappointment. Quiet strength rarely receives the recognition it deserves, but it is often the kind of strength that transforms lives. Perhaps one reason this season feels so difficult is because God is teaching you to recognize strength differently. Perhaps He is helping you see that your endurance matters. Perhaps He is showing you that surviving difficult seasons is not something to dismiss. Perhaps He is revealing that resilience is one of the greatest gifts a person can develop. There are people who would have stopped long ago under the weight you carried. There are people who would have abandoned hope under the circumstances you faced. There are people who would have surrendered their faith during seasons that tested you. Yet here you are, still standing, still believing, still moving forward. Even if your progress feels slow, even if your confidence sometimes wavers, even if you still have unanswered questions, you are here. That matters. The world often teaches people to measure themselves through achievements, recognition, wealth, status, or approval. While those things may have value, they cannot fully measure a human soul. They cannot measure courage. They cannot measure faithfulness. They cannot measure integrity. They cannot measure perseverance. They cannot measure the strength required to continue after disappointment. God sees those things. God sees the growth taking place beneath the surface. While others may focus only on visible outcomes, God often focuses on transformation. He sees who you are becoming. He sees the wisdom developing through experience. He sees the compassion being formed through hardship. He sees the maturity emerging through challenge. He sees the resilience being built through every obstacle you overcome. There were seasons when you felt forgotten, seasons when prayers seemed unanswered, seasons when opportunities failed to appear, seasons when loneliness felt overwhelming. Yet even those moments contained value. Even those moments contributed to your growth. Even those moments developed qualities that comfort alone could never create. Many people want the strength that comes from experience without experiencing the challenges that produce it. They want wisdom without struggle. They want resilience without adversity. They want courage without fear. Yet these qualities are usually born through the very situations people wish to avoid. That does not mean the pain was enjoyable. It does not mean the losses were easy. It does not mean the disappointment was necessary in every detail. It means God is capable of bringing growth from places that once seemed empty. He is capable of producing strength from seasons that appeared only painful. He is capable of creating purpose from experiences that initially felt meaningless. Your story has chapters that nobody else fully understands. There are sacrifices you never discussed. There are tears you never explained. There are prayers you never shared. There are disappointments you carried quietly. God saw every one of them. Nothing escaped his attention. Every moment mattered. Every act of perseverance mattered. Every decision to keep going mattered. Some people underestimate the power of simply refusing to quit. They think breakthroughs only occur through dramatic moments. Yet many breakthroughs begin with ordinary persistence. They begin with someone choosing to take another step, despite discouragement. They begin with someone choosing to hope, despite uncertainty. They begin with someone choosing faith despite unanswered questions. They begin with someone continuing to trust that their current season is not their final destination. You may not feel strong every day. There may be mornings when motivation feels distant. There may be evenings when weariness settles deeply into your heart. There may be moments when doubt whispers loudly. Those moments do not erase your strength. They reveal your humanity. Strength is not proven by never struggling. Strength is proven by continuing despite struggle. The fact that you have survived everything behind you already says something remarkable about what exists within you. You have overcome challenges you once believed would break you. You have endured disappointments you never anticipated. You have navigated seasons you never would have chosen. Yet somehow you made it through. Not perfectly. Not without scars. Not without tears. But you made it through. That reality deserves recognition. Too often people focus on what they have not achieved while overlooking what they have survived. They focus on goals that remain unfinished while forgetting obstacles already overcome. They focus on future uncertainty while ignoring evidence of past resilience. Take a moment to remember this truth. Some of your greatest victories happened in silence when nobody was watching. Some of your greatest accomplishments cannot be measured by titles, positions, or achievements. They can only be measured by the strength it took to keep going when life became difficult. The power struggle you feel today may be creating the strength you will rely on tomorrow. The resistance you feel today may be building the endurance you will need later. The growth you cannot fully see today may become one of the greatest blessings in your future. Trust the process, even when you do not fully understand it. Trust that God can work within seasons that feel confusing. Trust that your worth remains unchanged, regardless of current circumstances. Trust that your value does not depend on recognition from others. Trust that your faith, your perseverance, and your kindness matter more than you know. You are not defined by your hardest days. You are not defined by your disappointments. You are not defined by your fears. You are not defined by temporary struggles. You are defined by something deeper. You are defined by the courage that continues showing up. You are defined by the faith that continues believing. You are defined by the strength that continues rising even after difficult seasons. And that strength is still growing. If these words reminded you that your current struggle may be preparing a deeper strength within you, subscribe to the channel and stay connected to messages that encourage faith, resilience, healing, and purpose. You do not have to walk every difficult season alone, and sometimes the right encouragement can help you recognize just how far you have already come. One day you will look back on this season with different eyes. What feels heavy now may eventually reveal lessons that are difficult to recognize while you are living through them. What feels confusing now may eventually make sense in ways you cannot yet imagine. What feels like a power struggle today may become one of the defining reasons you possess greater wisdom, deeper compassion, stronger faith, and a more unshakable confidence tomorrow. The challenge with growth is that it rarely announces itself while it is happening. Most people expect transformation to feel dramatic and obvious. They expect clarity to arrive immediately. They expect progress to be visible every day. Yet some of the most important changes occur quietly. They happen beneath the surface. They happen during ordinary days that seem uneventful. They happen during seasons when nothing appears to be changing, even though everything is changing within. You may not notice it immediately, but you are not the same person you were before this journey began. The experiences you have endured have altered the way you see life. The disappointments you survived have taught you valuable lessons. The hardships you faced have revealed strengths you did not know existed. The struggles that once seemed impossible have become part of your testimony of endurance. The fears that once controlled you no longer possess the same authority they once held. Growth has been taking place. Slowly, perhaps. Quietly, perhaps. But undeniably. There is a reason why people who have endured difficult seasons often carry a different kind of presence. They understand things that cannot be learned through comfort alone. They recognize the value of perseverance. They appreciate moments of peace more deeply. They become more compassionate toward the struggles of others. They learn that life is not always predictable and that faith often requires continuing forward without having every answer. The person emerging from this season may possess qualities that could never have developed without the challenges you faced. That realization does not erase the pain. It does not minimize the difficulty. It simply reminds you that pain does not always have the final word. Growth can emerge from places where people expected only loss. Wisdom can emerge from confusion. Strength can emerge from weakness. Hope can emerge from disappointment. God has a remarkable ability to bring purpose from places that once appeared broken. Some people spend their entire lives trying to avoid struggle. They organize everything around comfort. They measure success by convenience. They assume that difficulty automatically means something is wrong. Yet some of the most meaningful growth happens when comfort is unavailable. Some of the deepest transformations happen when circumstances force a person to depend on something greater than themselves. During those moments, hidden strengths begin to surface. Character deepens. Priorities become clearer. Faith becomes more genuine. Resilience becomes stronger. The person who emerges from those seasons often possesses a depth that cannot be manufactured through easier paths. Perhaps that is why your journey has felt different from what you expected. Perhaps the road has contained more obstacles than you anticipated. Perhaps the timing has unfolded differently than you planned. Perhaps certain doors remained closed longer than you wanted. Yet throughout all of it, something valuable has been developing within you. A quieter confidence, a steadier faith, a stronger sense of identity, a deeper understanding of what truly matters. There are blessings that arrive through success, but there are also blessings that arrive through endurance. There are lessons that come through achievement, but there are also lessons that come through persistence. The world celebrates victories. God often celebrates faithfulness. While others may notice only outcomes, God sees the countless moments when you chose not to give up. He sees the days when continuing required tremendous courage. He sees the nights when hope felt difficult, but you held on to it anyway. He sees the sacrifices nobody acknowledged. He sees the battles nobody understood. He sees the tears nobody noticed. God saw the tears that nobody else noticed. Those tears mattered. Those prayers mattered. Those moments mattered. Nothing about your journey has been invisible to him. There may have been times when you felt abandoned, times when you wondered whether anyone understood the depth of your struggle, times when loneliness seemed overwhelming. Yet even in those moments you were not forgotten. Even when circumstances failed to provide reassurance, your life remained valuable. Even when recognition was absent, your worth remained unchanged. Even when progress seemed slow, growth continued taking place. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is learning to recognize your own progress. Too many people become trapped comparing themselves to others. They compare timelines, they compare achievements, they compare circumstances, they compare opportunities. In doing so, they overlook the unique journey God has placed before them. Your path was never meant to be identical to someone else's. Your story was never supposed to unfold in exactly the same way. Your growth has its own timing. Your purpose has its own shape. Your lessons have their own meaning. The strength being developed within you is connected to the life you are called to live, not the life someone else is living. Comparison often blinds people to their own growth. It causes them to overlook victories that deserve celebration. It causes them to underestimate resilience that deserves recognition. It causes them to ignore progress that deserves appreciation. Take a moment to remember how far you have come. Remember challenges you survived. Remember fears you overcame. Remember seasons you endured. Remember obstacles that once seemed impossible. The person standing here today is stronger than the person who first entered those battles. Not because life became easy, not because every question received an answer, but because you continued growing through the process. The fact that you are still standing says more about your strength than you realize. Your story is not defined by the moments that hurt you. It is not defined by the people who misunderstood you. It is not defined by the opportunities that never arrived. It is not defined by the seasons that disappointed you. Your story is also defined by resilience. It is defined by perseverance. It is defined by courage. It is defined by faith. It is defined by the quiet determination that refused to surrender. That determination is evidence of something valuable within you, something that hardship could not destroy, something that disappointment could not erase, something that difficult seasons could not remove. There is still hope ahead. There is still purpose ahead. There is still growth ahead. There is still healing ahead. The struggles you experienced may remain part of your story, but they are not the entirety of your story. New chapters still exist. New opportunities still exist. New moments of peace still exist. New reasons to smile still exist. The future does not require perfection. It simply requires continuing forward one step at a time. Continue trusting that your worth remains secure. Continue believing that your life carries meaning. Continue remembering that difficult seasons do not determine final outcomes. Continue recognizing the strength that already exists within you. Continue allowing faith to speak louder than fear. Continue allowing hope to remain stronger than discouragement. Continue believing that God is still working even when progress feels slow. The power struggle you feel is not proof that you are failing. It may be proof that you are growing. It may be proof that strength is being developed. It may be proof that your spirit is becoming more resilient. It may be proof that God is preparing you to carry future blessings with greater wisdom, greater humility, and greater confidence. Your journey matters, your perseverance matters, your faith matters, your kindness matters, your story matters, and no difficult season can take away the value that has always existed within you. If this message brought comfort to your heart and reminded you that your struggles are not meaningless, subscribe to the channel so you can continue receiving encouragement rooted in faith, hope, healing, and personal growth. May each message help you remember that you are not forgotten. Your journey has purpose and your strength is greater than you sometimes believe.